Good morning, everybody. Good day, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever y'all are, welcome. Good to see you. Saffron, welcome. How are you today? Subvids, welcome. Silent Hill redesign on Friday. Excellent, Saf. Looking forward to it. Nice. Always fun to see what people do with the sounds. And speaking of, we put more new sounds up into the community folders for you guys to grab from. Share links with you. Also have a new submission tool for you guys. So there's different ways to submit files. So first, those who are looking for sounds from the community, you can grab them there. And submissions you can upload here. If you do not happen to have a Google account, a Gmail account, you can always send to holler@email.tv. So there you go in the chat. You've got your quick access points to participation in the stream today. We are working on our month-long journey up to Halloween, spooky time of year, and an oh-so-fun time of year to create sounds for. Get into the really immersive, deep, evolving type stuff. Talk about triggering emotions. So that's what we're going to do today. I was checking out Damien's stream earlier this morning, and they were getting into some pretty heavy emotional stuff. So maybe it's something in the air today. We're going to jump right in, and I'm going to focus on mostly just bouncing stuff today. So I would suggest checking the folders pretty regularly throughout the stream. We'll be up for a few hours, I'm sure. We do have probably some more submissions from other folks since you've last checked as well. So again, links are in the chat here. And if you missed that and you want to grab them at any time, got a couple of commands for you. Command sounds, command submit, and command email. You want to send sounds in? Send them on through. Just let me know if you want me to keep them just for my use, or if you want the entire community to use them. And if you do want the entire community to have access to them, then I will put them up into the main drive, and all of you can collect sounds freely from there. And as we work through the month, we're going to build bigger and bigger things together. So the more you participate early on, the more you'll be able to do in the long run. And we will absolutely be parlaying this into showing you guys how to sync stuff for screen and build stuff that has a very high value for people producing film, television, game, music with cinematic elements, or immersive sound design. It's highly applicable in many, many areas across the industry. So I want to make sure that you guys are getting to take advantage of as much of that as possible. You might have noticed that all the VOD, all the video archives are subscriber only at this point. You guys had about a month free reign with them. So please do sub so you can continue to check out those and watch anytime you like, and collect all the free sounds and everything else that comes with it. I've just about completed building stuff on the website, and it looks like we will be able to ditch a lot of the Discord stuff which is awesome. There will still be a Discord. It's just that it won't be a community hub the same way that I was initially thinking we needed it for. So luckily, we'll be able to do a lot of that just through our my own website, which will make things a little bit easier and less spread out for everyone. So let's turn off this music that we've got going in here in the background. Although highly entertaining, it's not what we're here for, is it? All right, so to kick things off, let's just take a look. I put up these three. I think they're all about a minute in length, give or take. These are the three that were crafted in, not the last session, because the last session we had a really great artist interview with Zaris, and we reviewed his massive cinematic library, Tesseract. If you missed that, go check that out. It was a great time. I think we were up for, I don't know, maybe 4 hours or so, close to it. Good time, great conversation, and we'll definitely have Zaris back in the near future. And not just to talk products or shop necessarily. This first one is Ominous Footsteps. And this one used a fair number of sounds. I also did a little bit of original sound design on it, so I will be going through those with you here momentarily, bouncing out individual stems and then organizing those in folders and just kind of showing you how I tend to keep stuff organized. I know there's been a great deal of interest expressed in file management and stuff, not letting things get too out of control, I guess, shall we say. All right, so this first one, Ominous Footsteps. First thing we bounce here shortly will be a version of this without the footsteps, as well as a couple of the individual stems. So definitely pulling the listener in there, huh? The footsteps do add a layer of specificity, though, that isn't going to be very universally relevant. So we'll run through and we'll bounce a version without the footsteps and then a couple of the stems used. This one's Screaming Squirrels. The guitar comes from Zev. Those blood-curdling screams are actually squirrels. Those come to us from Purple Rose. Got various things popping in this one from the community. The footsteps, I think, were pointed out to us by subvids, if I remember correctly. It's been a good week since that happened. But I believe they were a freesound.org discovery, if I remember correctly. And then this next one, Spooky Shakers, I don't even know that there's any effects or anything actually running on these. These came to us from Ricky, these shakers, and I think I just stretched them in a couple of ways. So this one's very simple. So we'll just run through and bounce a couple of stems out of each one of these to give you guys just a little bit more to play with. We'll put those into folders so you can see how I kind of organize projects over longer periods of time. All right. So let's go do that. The first thing we'll do is we'll just take out the footsteps here. So we actually had two tracks here for the footsteps kind of nested because we created a kontakt instrument for that. So let's just go over here and hear this without the footsteps. Let's see if maybe we want to bring in these chain elements or not. So we'll bounce this version and then we'll bounce some stems. In the interest of time, I think stuff over 1 minute or so in the stream today, I might bounce offline and maybe toss up a real-time bounce later if it feels like it's something that should be a touch better quality. It's about there. So let's just do this one offline. So this is no footsteps on this one. Dun, 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 dun. So I forgot to hit offline on that. Okay, so while that is bouncing for the next minute, I'm just going to jump over to the drive and create a folder for these things to live in. So as you guys are going and grabbing, it'll stay organized. So the first of these folders in my directory on the drive will be ominous, and we'll have ominous footsteps and ominous no footsteps as the main. And then let's just pick a couple of stems to bounce as well. Since not everyone is going to have all the same tools at home, let's just see what each one of these sounds like on its own here. Yeah, I think I might bounce this one. This is -25. It's just so good. All right, so let's bounce this stem. And let's do this as this is an FM. I don't even know what to call each one of these. So we'll just call them pads at this point. We'll call them pad 1, 2, and 3. I think there's 3 that I made. Okay, so we're going to drop this back down to the appropriate decibel, and then we'll bring the next one back up. That's like 25 or so. And this one, neg 10. And this one's pretty steady if I remember correctly. Okay, so we'll call this pad 2. And this is a really good example of how to go back and harvest elements from something that you've just created that is larger. Damien, welcome. And crew, thank you yet again for the oh so generous raid. Always lovely to see you guys. We were just talking about you a minute ago. We're in the process of showing how to go through and harvest individual stems and elements that you build bigger pieces from, and then how you can use those in other productions. And all of these are going to be available up on the drive. Definitely make sure you give a follow, and thank you, D Hupapana, D Hupana, and Divorce Court. Good to see you guys here. And sub if you want to be able to watch these things anytime you like and have access to all the free sounds and projects and everything. Everybody's here. Travis, thank you for following. So we're just in the process of bouncing out a few of these pads. Just remind myself where I was with the naming of these. Travis, thank you for the follow. And Lengy Tunes, thank you for the follow. Hope I'm getting somewhere in the ballpark with the names, you guys. All right, so we're moving on to the next. Again, just grabbing individual stems from this. The low, low, low. And I believe this one is pretty steady eddy as well, so I'm just going to jump right to the tail here. There's really not much running on this one. Gotta love FM8. Okay, so we'll bounce this and call this 3. And then we'll start stacking these up in the directory for you guys on the drive. And again, I'm just doing these 3 stems here in an offline. I'll probably toss an online bounce up later. Okay, so let me just toss those up really quick. And I'll toss the link into the chat here again for you. And run through how all of this is working. And I want to see who's here. Guy, welcome. Jay Codaline, good to see you. Greetings from sunny Maryland. Paul, thank you. Greetings from beautiful sunny Portland. Langy is that harvesting stuff from bigger works? Dupana. Okay, got it. OhmLab sample in your new video, huh? Excellent, Paul. Feel free to share it. Share a link in the chat and we will get to it. Always like. Yeah, Saffron channel's growing nice and steady. We've been up for what, a month or something, and haven't done much to promote it. Really want to let this grow fairly organically this time around, and see who the true and faithful really are. And we're gonna get in some really fun stuff together. Travis, first time and welcome. Good meeting you in the other room today. Damien is a beast, and I'm super eager to check out your new podcast as well. Feel free to drop a link to that in the chat here so other people can check it out as well. The folks in this room are fantastic and super into sound and music. Nate, welcome, brother. Noel, welcome, and thank you for the kind words. It means a lot coming from you. Yeah. You know, oftentimes the little sketches are where the real gems are harvested from, Lengy. So I'm definitely picking up what you're saying here. Am I anywhere near the proper pronunciation of your name there? Karma Smiles. I like the name and the infinite fractal. I like that as well. Oh man, dude, waves. Still Nate, man, give him a holler. Okay, cool. I'm glad that I'm getting the name right, Lengy. Okay, so let's get back into this. I just uploaded stuff to the drive. So here's what's happening. I'm going to type in sounds here, and you're going to see this link, and then I'm going to type in submit, and you're going to see this link, and then I'm going to type in email, and you're going to see that. So if you want to download sounds that the community has been uploading over the last week as we get started on the community Halloween project together, you can do that by following the link. If you'd like to submit some of your own sounds, you can do so by following the next link. Or if you don't have a Google or Gmail account, that is a submission to a Google Drive. So if you don't have Google and you just want to send it old-fashioned by email, holler at ohmlab.tv. Travis is dropping this link in the chat. Travis, you can do that again in a couple minutes after the bot stuff has passed as well, if you like. Link not found for the sound upload. Well, bugger. Let me just let me grab that for you. Huh. Weird. Okay. Well, send it to holler at ohmlab.tv for right now. Any submissions you have, and I'll get them plugged into the drive. I don't want to troubleshoot too much. Google Drive has been having a couple of weird issues for me over the past month or so, on and off. Just weirdness. Mostly permissions kind of stuff. Anyway, I will continue to add stuff to the drive. You guys can still access the drive, I'm assuming. I see that it's all freely accessible and people are getting in and out of there. So I'm assuming that's all good. So for right now, Zaris, welcome. So for right now, just send in your sounds to Holler at OhmLab.tv, and I will get them added to the drive. And if you want to grab sounds from the drive, you can grab. Put that up there one more time and run through this challenge. So what we're doing here first is step one, if you're just getting started, sample challenge. Find, make, create, discover whatever random sounds you think will be good in a spooky theme. And think creatively here. Don't think blood-curdling screams are what you're going for, or you know, these like weird, scary gore type sounds or whatever. These could be anything, right? It could be a dog barking. We had squirrels in a tree transformed into these blood-curdling screams in that was this one. This is impressive. It's all about just kind of mangling the sounds in creative ways. That scream right there. That's a squirrel. So, quite literally, any kind of sound. Get really creative. When you have your sound, send it in. If you want to hold it close to you, protect it, don't share it with anyone, that's totally fine. We'll see what you make with it at the end of all of this. If you want it just to be me playing with it live in a stream, just send it through and just tell me, hey, keep this to yourself. D. Janley, thank you for following. But if you want everybody in the community to be able to get it and play with it, then just send it in through at holler at ohmlab.tv, and I will get it added to the drive. It's kind of like give a penny, take a penny, right? Bring a sound, take a sound. Step 2, transform sounds. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. And then 3, make something, whether that be samples, stems, or fuller music or musical elements is entirely up to you. And as we progress over the next few weeks, we'll be building bigger and bigger and bigger things. And each larger layered soundscape or musical cue or track that we make will all be broken down and added back to the drive so we can continue to build and build and build and build and build within this theme and just kind of get to know the process of iteration and variation and file management, and along the way also learn a bit more about the importance of metadata and naming conventions and price value perception for the end user and how to increase the value of what you do so you can make some money and live a little bit better in this world, this crazy world of ours, and kind of lift the veil on how some of those opportunities can come about as well. So there you go. There's the brief synopsis of what we're doing here right at this very minute. From Brazil, excellent. Hey, we've got a couple of other folks from Brazil. We might see Miguel pop in here today. He's been popping in somewhat regularly. Zaris, yeah, do. Please send over some sounds. We'd love to play with them. Oh, dude. Sequencing Polyplex with VCV and Guitar Rig 6. Someone is having fun with the new complete. How is it, Paul? You like cats and beer. Welcome, Carl. Whoa, hey. Speak of the devil. Miguel. Someone else from Brazil in here today. You're always here. Aw, love you, man. How am I already through this cup of coffee? How did that even just happen? Cats love climbing on gear. That is the truth. At night, my cat gets in here and she's up all over me and then up on the keyboard, and right, you guys know. You've got a lapdog, huh? That makes for a warmer winter, Asaph. Good. Good to hear that K13 is good. Did you have Massive X prior to this? I would assume that this would be a serious rabbit hole for you. Noel, is there really such a thing as too much coffee? Yeah, I guess there probably is. All right, I'm not going to get sucked into this chat too hard. I'm going to come back over here and find just a couple more things to bounce in this ominous and then toss it up onto the drive for y'all. Maybe these bleachers. I twisted it up with some tape warble. I put a little speed bend on the very front of it. It might be a little too specific for most of you. It's a weird, jangly, just all over the place frequency-wise kind of sound. So I brought it way down. I don't need maximizer on this thing. I guess I'll bounce it and let you guys decide if you want it or not. Sometimes it's fun to have a little harsh element to play with. And I have that reels running as a non-input trigger, so that the tape noise is pretty persistent through it. So we'll say maybe just something like mangled bleachers on tape. And what's this door slam here? A door slam that was made all granular, maybe, if I remember correctly. I guess we can toss that out there too. Let's bring this up a bit. The volume mix is going to be all over the place when I come back in here. And for those of you wondering what kind of elements I might actually take from this and use like in a professional portfolio, I'll show you the process of going through and kind of rating those and figuring that out. All right, so this is a granular door. So you can take any kind of sound and use it for Halloween. That is for certain. I'm going to see if maybe I can get somewhere near where I was with some of these sounds, volume-wise. All right, I don't think I used any of those chains. I ended up really not liking. I think they felt kind of forced. Okay, these footsteps. Not everybody has access to good footsteps. Let's do these. Just tighten up that first. And I'm just going to leave it drenched for you guys. Nice convolution. we're going to run this project all the way up until Halloween. You guys will have a lot of stuff to upload to your portfolios. And we'll call this just footsteps. So we've got a no footsteps and just footsteps. If I can spell. Again, the full mix, the first couple were all real time. These smaller individual stems in here, I'm just bouncing offline for right now in the interest of time. What is this one? Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do this one. Noise Don't Pause, thank you for the follow. Lo and behold, you guys are going to have a full stack of stems here. This is our piano hit. One more over here. I did make a few things in FMA. Oh, right. We've got to have this. Which one was this? Some wind chimes, maybe? Catch that tail for y'all. Okay, so this was the this is like a haunted wind chimes kind of thing. Shout out to the haunted wind chimes, actually. Gonna borrow your name for this file. All right, so that is all of the individual stems for that. I think I've completely borked the volume mix in that one. But we've got a complete stack for you guys over in the drive. So let me add that for you right now. So I've just added pad 1, 2, 3, no footsteps, screaming squirrels, and spooky shakers. Right. So it's all of these. Okay, so those who are playing along at home, You'll be able to grab those all in less than a minute over on the drive. I will put up the link here in the chat again for you to do that. Give it about 1 minute for everything to be fully uploaded, I'm sure, given that we're streaming. I'm going to catch up with you in the chat here too. Noel, I'm in Portland, so Pacific. You're in LA? Is that correct? Oh. Oh, Jay Codaline, golden retriever on your lap. A bit more bones after a year, right? Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I'm usually working a bit too late as well. Hmm. Rick, I hate you for showing me this. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry, Paul. We're not easy on the pocketbook sometimes, but we're great on inspiration, right? Who's got 2K laying around today? Who's got that? Throw a couple this way and then go grab that reverb, right? Let me ask my mom if she has any money. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, that's great. The FOMO. Oh, Guy. Oh man, I've had kidney stones as well. Where did that come from? I must have scrolled right past it. Oh, Guy. Yeah, they're awful. They're pain wise, if you have a substantial one, they're like rated just past childbirth, which is unbelievable. Uh yeah, I've been completely knocked out by them when I had them. Still have no idea what actually led to it. Just juice beets. Is that a pro tip, Purple Pros? The only cure for gear sluttery is buy more gear. It's the only way. It's the only way. I hear you. Saf, if your house is way too small for big synths, everyone knows the only responsible thing to do at that point is get help finding a bigger house. Oh man. Oh, Guy, man. Take care. Yeah, we'll be putting up some forum threads on the official OhmLab site. The community page is down right now because I'm revamping it, and when it comes back online, we'll have some new forum threads. And if you guys want to do some gear swapping in there, I'm all for it. There will be sample swap space as well. It'll be a members only thing to help keep it all legit and free of trolls. But yeah. All right, so I've added those files to the drive. So anybody that wants to grab them, I'll put the link up here one more time. And then I drank my cup of coffee a little bit too fast, so I'm going to go grab some coffee really quick. And I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere because we've got a ton of sounds to bounce and play with. And while I'm gone getting my coffee, you guys can go download those sounds. And then when I come back, I'll check my email to see who has sent new sounds. So this will just keep growing and growing and growing. I'm just going to toss the email up here, holler@ohmlab.tv. If you want to send in some sounds while I'm filling up my coffee mug, you go right ahead. And I will be right back. And I'm back. All right. I'll check the email in just a moment. I wonder how out of control different this sounds now that all the volume has been messed with on all the tracks. Yeah, totally. It's all over the place. It's got like sub to the max. Oh, that's hilarious. Alright, I'll go back and I'll remember how to fix that later. On to this one, and before I start bouncing, I'm going to check the inbox. Cool. So this one is the in the drive. The first one was ominous. The second one will be screaming squirrels. So let's jump into screaming squirrels really quick and grab some stems that we like. So the first sample actually came from Saffron Works. This is a bow on a stove in his kitchen. And then I just gave it a little love. And this is actually set at left, so let's just bring that up a bit. And you know what? I've got some volume automation on there. I could turn that off for you. this is actually something that's been looped a few times. So I guess what I probably should do is just give you guys a single loop of this. The original can be found in the From Saffronworks directory on the drive. This is going to stay drenched for those that don't have a whole bunch of reverb options at home. Maybe you'll appreciate having something like this. All right, so this is Screaming Squirrels. Kind of wondering if maybe I should have named it differently. Oh, bow on stove. And then the next is this little piano chop, which I just absolutely love. And was this Saf 2 or was this Zev? I think this maybe was Zev. Let me just check this. Is this Saf? No. Who was this from? Someone's going to help me out, remind me. It wasn't from Ricky. Trans in Your Pants was from Subvids? I don't think so. Well, someone's going to remind me. And then I'll say, oh yeah. Purple Pros. That is a pro tip. There you go. Choose some beats apparently. What is the quality or idea of the sounds you are to send? It can be quite literally anything. Like we were showing in the last stream where we were working on these. This element right here, the screaming, the blood curdling screams are actually just squirrels. The ambience in this one is a bow being dragged across a stove. So it can be literally anything. There were footsteps. There was a door opening. It can be any kind of everyday sound. And honestly, to be fair, the more everyday and ordinary, the better oftentimes, because it provides a bit of a doorway for the listener to be drawn in just a bit more, especially if we've tilted it toward the unsettling side of the spectrum versus the uplifting side of the spectrum. And I feel that if you have a sound that is somewhat familiar, that this has been done to, then it's even more off-putting, and it's a bit more of an immediate knee-jerk reaction, which is exactly what you want from your audience, right? You want them to be fully engaged, lean in, be surprised, expect the unexpected, if you will. Saffron, it can be a bunch of things, but usually it's an unnecessary amount of minerals that your body can't handle. So there's like energy drinks and fast food drinks are oftentimes like named culprits because they're using unfiltered water most of the time, and they're putting a bunch of stuff in that just, It does the job that it's intended to do, but then it all builds up in the body, and your body can't quite process it. So it builds up these tiny little deposits, and then it's got to get out somehow. Like, do we try to make a sound and then take our trash and make it into a treasure? Yeah, you certainly can. You certainly can. You don't have to intentionally seek out um, like overly simple or uninteresting or even trashy sounds. They can be things that are great. Like you could record your animal, right? Like if you have a cat, make that cat purr. We'll turn it into a growl, like a rumble, right? How about a kid just laughing, right? We can slow that down and make it creepy really fast. You got any toy instruments at home, right? Nothing's off-putting quite like a warbled and detuned toy musical instrument, right? Um, Footsteps. I mean, it could literally be the fan inside of your freezer. We can turn that into a horror ambience, right? It can be pretty much anything. Pretty much anything. Oh man, Paul, 5 surgeries. Oh my goodness. 3 days of morphine. Wow, you guys. Man, that is gnarly. Oh. Aloha, Rain. Welcome. Oh my goodness. An interesting conversation happening in the chat. Noel, I may have missed your response when we were talking location. Are you in LA? Oh, wow. You guys have been busy in the chat. I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. The seventh astral plane. You're Eastern. Okay. Detroit. You know, that's a pretty nice mix right there, you know. Strange place, musty venues, fabulous crowds, and crazy parties. That's, yeah. Yeah, Detroit's has roots, right? All right, I'm going to get back into these sounds here. So this little piano chop, if anyone can remember where this came from, holler at me. Because I do really, really like it still. I'm going to turn off this and bring this up. Okay, so this is a piano chop. An interesting one at that. And then this is the guitar that came in from Zev. Let me just kill the automation on this as well. This is a great example of keeping something really simple and getting a lot of mileage out of it. I did put some reverb on this. You can grab this original sound in the From Zev directory on the drive. I think I may have actually had to put a volume fade on this one earlier when I was working it. I just turned that back on. All right. So I'll bounce that. This is a guitar. We'll call this Zev guitar. The angry little squirrel, you can find... Wait, did we put a... You know, I'm not sure if there's a directory on there for Purple Pros. We should do that. And there's actually a... there's another sound from Purple Pros. Okay, so we're going to have to bounce out that squirrel as well. Let's see if we can find that over here in our media list really quick. Okay, this one right here. Oops. This is the one. So there we go. So we'll just stop that for a second, jump over here, back to this directory. There we go. So anybody that wants to get the original squirrel sound, and here it is again. This was turned into those blood-curdling screams. We made a kontakt instrument out of it, so we could kind of play and score at the same time. And those transformed into these little guys right here. So I'll bounce these. You guys can grab the originals yourselves. And then I'll kick down these screams. They're just super scary. Oh, and this is actually, it's all panned. Oh my. Yeah, we went super scary on that one. Trance in your pants, welcome. I'm still getting caught up with the chat over here. You guys are busy. Oh, subvids, you know what? I meant to mention it to you. I couldn't get Pulse Stretch because I'm running on a Mac over here, and it's for Windows and Linux, apparently. Okay, so I'm going to bounce this. These are the angry squirrels. So yeah, I was unable to get the Pulse Stretch. Especially at places like Red Rocks or the church, partying in a Gothic cathedral basement with torches and iron gates is just what? That reminds me of a really fun road trip that I took. God, this was back in 90. Um, it must have been about 95, maybe. The Ozatlan Theater in Denver, Colorado, was being shut down. It was an historic venue for many, many years. Was a destination for some crazy, crazy names. Fantastic, fantastic build. Um, and um, oh man, the name of the group has just left my mind. Super, super primal. Um, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to circle back and finish the story because I can't remember the name of the group. But anyway, there was fire, there was raw meat being thrown, there were like, it was just absolutely nuts. And it was on May Day, and there was um, a large amount of like authentic absinthe being consumed, like wormwood derived absinthe, not the stuff that they put out on the market in bottles in recent years. But it was just nuts, just absolutely nuts. So I get what you're saying about venues like that. It's just, man, just yeah. Guy, no, do not denoise unless it's a creative manipulation on your part that you want to share with us. Just send through the sounds. Yeah. Oh, and the donkey. I can go find the donkey, the wonky donkey sound. We found a donkey bray and we turned it into a crazy, like, creaking door, kind of spooky kind of thing. Oh, man. Yeah, the donkey was super funny. We'll go back and we'll find that. Uh, oh, Rain. That's what the voices in my head sound like when they aren't snoring. Holy hell. Okay. Um, yeah, it's a bummer, right, Subvids? But yeah, I'm a Mac guy, so I don't get to play with that one. There are some other things kind of like it that I've played with on the Mac side of things, and Logic does some pretty interesting things when you're stretching things for 200-300 bars at a time. Pretty interesting stuff. Run it through some delays and reverbs and freeze it. Yeah. Oh yeah, you know what? The church. I wonder. I wonder. I don't know. I guess we could look it up. We do have the power of the internets at our fingertips these days. Um, Ozatlan. Uh, let's see. Ozatlan. Actually, it's still kicking. The Ozatlan Theater is still it's been reborn, and let's look up the church as well. Of course, it's pulling up the one in Portland. Let's see. An actual church complete with bars, dancing, DJs, and more. No, this is not the same place. I'm looking at a picture of it right now, and that place is super intense. I've never been there. It's a renovated 1865 church on Lincoln Street in Denver. Uh, EDM, trance, Latin, goth, and retro. Kind of does it all, it looks like. That's a super cool looking place. Super, super cool. No, Aztlan is a different place. All right, cool. Thanks, Guy. I will take a look. You have another cool thing to record. Root it out of the shed. Hey, that's a good sign when you got to go digging around in the shed. Zaris, that's great. I will keep a look, or I will keep an eye out for that. Purple Pros. I hear so many people saying they need glasses right now after staring at their screens all day, especially phones. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. Zaris has just sent through some stuff. I will get that added. So back to the main folder here, and this one is going to be from Zaris. And that one, Banished to Hell. I'm going to play it for you. Oh, this is good. It's creepy. So this is going to be from Zaris directory on the drive. That'll finish syncing in a couple of minutes. Sorry if we drop any frames while I'm actually actively uploading large files. It's the cost of doing everything in real time right now. I'm sure of it. Thank you, Zaris. This is pretty great. Rain, you can grab all of these sounds from the community drive. Toss the link up in the chat here for you. I don't know what's wrong with using a lot of atmospheric stuff. I love atmospheric stuff. A lot of texture in there. Yeah, there's some stuff happening in here. Some pretty great delay work in here, Rick. Subvids, whatever you send through at this point, it certainly does not need to be scary. We've got a whole bunch of time to work on this, and one single element usually is not enough to make something really immersive and very, very interesting. Um, so definitely grab stuff from the community drive. Don't overthink it. Oftentimes, less is more, and the more simple, the better, because you can use it in a multitude of ways that way instead of one very specific way. Well, Rain, maybe you're developing a sound, atmospheric ARP type stuff, right? Yeah, I agree with Saffron here. I wouldn't let other people dictate what you do anyway, but if what you're drawn to is atmospheric stuff and moving ARPs and stuff, there's a reason for that, and I would explore that personally. Yeah, sample some Teletubbies. Here comes the horror, right? Ooh, it's about to storm. Hey, guy, get a recording of the storm, right? Dark Barney. Oh, there's some tension for you. Oh, man. A mulcher. Mwahaha. Oh, man. Yeah, you got a spare pumpkin hanging around? Oh, man. Okay, where were we? Squirrels. I think I just did squirrels. Yep, squirrel screams. All right, let's take a look at this next one. These are the plastic bags, so I'll do these together. And we'll bring these up in volume together here as well. Oh, I have an automation live on this one. Let's bring these up together. All right, we'll call this good, and we'll go from here to here. And this was a plastic bag. If you want really original stuff, use really original ingredients. Okay, so from OhmLab, and we'll create a Screaming Squirrels in here. Oops, what did I just do? Try that again. Screaming Squirrels. And we'll put Screaming Squirrels into it. I kind of wonder if maybe, actually, let's take that out. I'm going to ominous footsteps. I'm going to move this one to here. So now, all right, just getting a little bit more organized. Okay, cool. So now the full mix is outside of the stems folders, and now I'll just put all of the stems for the Screaming Squirrels in there, which is bow on stove, and these guys, and all of them will go into this directory. That that soundscape from Zaris is live up on the drive as well for all of you to grab. And it looks like most of the Screaming Squirrel stuff is already up as well. So you guys can run over and grab those. Gotta love the real-time thing. And then there's only a couple to grab here. This is the shakers. Oh, my stereo out. Let's try that again. All right, so let's do this first one. And you know, I can't quite remember exactly what all I did to that, if any. So this was coming from okay, so I took off a little with the EQ and maybe something else. This is from Ricky, so you can grab the original from Trance in Your Pants directory on the drive, and you can play with that. So for right now, we'll call this a shaker chop. And then this other one was stretched granular. Okay, so this is we'll call this granular shaker. And then the last thing is just a little AC power, which I believe is also, I think all three of these actually came in from Ricky. Okay, and this is AC power down, weird. We'll just call this a, I'm not even sure. I guess in my own world, I would call this an obscured impact. And since we've taken it away from the original so much, we'll Probably be okay with that. All right, so that's the last of the stems for this one. So you guys are all up to date for what is in my DAW. I'm going to jump back into the drive here and put those up. So these are for Spooky Shaker stems. And I'll put those up. So that was granular, obscured, and shaker chop. Those three are all going in. And it says that those will be synced in just a couple more seconds. Okay. Okay, cool. Those are all going. So I'd also like to dig into entirely new and different stuff and just kind of talk through like what it is that we're doing when we're conjuring up these kinds of sounds. And, you know, oftentimes these things are either being synced to elements on a screen or they are meant to make music in general just a lot more immersive and draw listeners in. I'm just going to turn all of these off really quick rather than start fresh somewhere else. All right. So emotional triggers, musical cues, immersive sound design. That's kind of the name of the game. And there's a lot of interesting things that we can do to achieve some rather ridiculous results as far as like triggering people's emotions and making things either unsettling or conversely uplifting in some way. And we can talk through some of those techniques, and it might give you some ideas for how to play with some of the sounds that you're downloading from the rest of the community too. So detuning is obviously a big one, and slowing things down or manipulating time in general is a good one. Pitch bends, usually downward, but not always. Working in minor keys instead of major. Like these are all little things that when you add up over time, they become collectively something much larger, right? And it's not just mood, it's aesthetic and it's texture and it's timing, right? You put the right little thing in the right place and it adds some kind of gravity or weight or legitimacy to whatever you're creating, even if it's not something that's being bolstered by moving elements on a screen, right? You don't need a monster to be freaked out by a sound creeping up on you, right? I mean, we have ears for a reason, and we have these reactions for a reason, right? In the wild, those things exist for our survival, right? And we're tapping into those things. And it's a fun thing to explore. And, you know, I mean, it's fun to explore the uplifting side as well. It's just that there aren't as many, there's not a wide, the range of emotions and responses are not as wide or as varied as the fear and fight or flight range of emotions and reactions. And you know, we don't access those things in our day to day the same way that we did for thousands and thousands of years. And there's this like cathartic need for it, and we see it when people go out and they watch these horror films and they scare themselves silly with them, or games, right? Immersive horror games, dark, creepy, immersive experiences are something that a lot of us seek, right? And on the regular at that. And it's because we've had this thing for our entire existence that's absolutely necessary. Some even posit that there is almost an urgent need for it collectively, because we start to lose touch with reality as a species without it, which is an interesting thing to consider. Um, but anyway, for whatever the reasons, um, it's also a great space to learn about psychoacoustics and different ways in which you can manipulate kind of time space perception, proximity, um, uh, those types of things. So when you're entangling emotional response to um, uh, proximity or obfuscation, um, it brings everything into the realm of reality, because our mind is working in multiple channels at the same time, um, and audio specifically is such a trigger for memory and emotion in general, that we're kind of bouncing around between these few specific feelings again and again and again whenever we're listening to something that we're really tuned into. It could be a memory, so there's nostalgia, right? Or it could be a traumatic memory or something, right? And so it could be, you know, fear or sadness or something like that, or it could be more like elation, right? Thinking of just joy or love or whatever it be, right? And then when you put that into a larger context, you put it into a space with other sounds, and those feelings become entangled, and it makes it a lot less likely for the audience to move on from whatever's happening in that moment, which means you've captured them. They've become engaged. They're no longer a passive um, audience, they're engaged participants, if you will, right? And that's really what we're after. So before we actually start twisting stuff, I'm going to catch up with you guys here. Shoegaze. Shoegaze drum and bass. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys are great. You know, I'm not surprised by that guy. I have not actually looked at any of her film projects, but just knowing Damien and what he does, and um, yeah, I can only imagine his partner is doing some pretty fantastic stuff. Um, Always sunny in Maryland. What is up with that? Maybe that's why they named it Maryland. Oh, I miss my V kids. My favorite part of horror is what Chris was saying. It awakens a primal survival instinct that our modern lives no longer ignite. Yeah, that's pretty succinct, right? It's crazy that, when I became a parent, things changed a bit in how I think about those things. And when I look at what other people start tuning into that they never tuned into before, once they became parents, it's uh, it's crazy. Like I've known so many women, and I've only been tuning into this over the past few years, mind you. Um, my kiddo's coming up on 4, so it's been a little chunk of time. But the majority of my life, I had never really considered all of this. I thought that it was just like, I don't know what I thought it was, but anyway, there's a large number of female friends of mine that are parents, and when they became parents, they found themselves tuning into these these awful shows and movies and stuff, like it's always a kid involved. Like it's this horrible situation and a kid is right in the middle of all of it. And it's just like, man, these things are stressful and scary enough without there being a small child, like being put right in the middle of all of it. But for some reason, that element has to be there. It's just gotta be there, and it's been explained to me by a few people now that have, like, found themselves needing this, but there's this, like, this protectiveness, the switch that's flipped when you become a parent, this poor defenseless person, can't survive without you in so many ways, and, I yeah, there's just something about that, like putting your offspring in great peril. There's this sense of urgency and immediacy, and yeah, it's just crazy what people, like, what lengths will go through to be uh like mentally ostracized or like emotionally ostracized for 90 minutes to 2 hours. um how do you get a sound to seem right in your face? Well, that's a really good question. Proximity is something uh, it's a forever pursuit. So one thing is, if this is a heavily affected sound, make sure that whatever reverb you're applying is being applied parallel instead of serial. Okay, if everything is being put on in series, then it's putting more and more between you and the sound itself, right? So the more reverb applied, regardless of the size of the reverb, is going to put it into space more, right? That's just the very definition of what we're doing. But when you do this in a parallel, then your sound is still front and center, right? It's the difference between, and I say this a lot in private lessons, so for those of you who meet with me regularly, apologies for sounding like a broken record, but you quickly learn the difference of putting a snare in a room versus putting the room in the snare, right? And when you are putting all of your effects on in series in a serial manner, you're not, or a direct manner, you're not allowing anything to escape unaffected, right? Even with the wet dry balance with plugins and stuff, you're still affecting the entirety of a signal in some way, right? When you have, especially with stacked processes, it all just kind of adds up, and eventually it's affecting the original integrity of the sound, and that includes proximity and clarity and loudness and a bunch of other things. So the very first thing would be just, what kind of reverb is being applied and how is it being applied. Keeping something in the center of the mix is going to keep it as front and center as possible, for the listener. But then there's other things that you can do, right? As with most things in audio, it's not necessarily the target that you want to focus on when you're trying to achieve a specific outcome for the target. It's oftentimes easier to affect everything but the target, right? It's kind of like the idea of wanting to accent a certain part of a sound. Well, the best way to do that from a logical, like audiophile perspective or approach would be to use subtractive processes to achieve that, right? Because you're no longer thinking about adding something to that specific part of the element. And there's a very, very important reason why, and that's because you're drawn to that very specific thing. If you start going and changing it, it's going to be harder to get to that thing that you were drawn to initially, right? So think about what you can do to everything else to help make that one thing stand out, right? Think about people and life in a situation, right? Why is it that there's always that one superstar, right? Like you go back to high school or whatever, right? There's always that one valedictorian, and they're like they're light years ahead of everyone else in the class, right? There's other people that had straight A's, but then there's this one person that just happened to have like 400 extra hours and a whole lot more motivation than everybody else. That person isn't really doing anything to make themselves stand out from their perspective, right? They kind of might see this differently. They might see it as, well, if everyone else kind of rose up to the same level, then I wouldn't stand out as much, right? And you can think about sounds in that same way. So if there are other things in the mix, what can you do to obscure, obfuscate, attenuate, whatever, pull them off to the sides or behind? What can you do to help that one thing stand out a little bit more? And that's going to present as being more present or upfront as well. So I hope that helps. You can also, if you use any kind of spatial mixing tools, binaural panning would allow you to do this, but I'll just show you. I'll just show you with a simple sound here. Let's actually use one of our community sounds while we're here. Let's use a dry one. Okay, I like this. This is a can being crushed. Is this also? Okay, I'm going to grab the one that's actually being crushed. I'm going to bring this in. Another thank you to Ricky for sending through these sounds. This is a Modelo can being crushed. I'm sure it sounds different than, you know, like a Pepsi can or Heineken can. All right, so let's jump over here. And what I'm going to do I am going to put this into a binaural pan. And then I'm actually just going to double click on the pan pot, and it opens up this interface, and it shows you that you can move between a planar or a spherical environment. And then what this allows you to do is work with things like angle or tilt, elevation, and distance, as well as spread. So as you move these things around, right, you spread left and right out, you see the spread move. If you bring them in towards center, center being a person's head, this is forward facing and very, very close proximity, right? 0.4 meters, an elevation of 30 degrees. And then as we go out, it's moving further and further and further away. So I'm gonna start playback on this, and I'm just gonna drag this around in a number of different ways, and then you guys can hear the effect. So this is very close. This is far away. This is spread out to the sides. This is behind you. This is on the right. This is on the left. And you can use this type of processing on any individual sound in a mix. Now that was just on a plane, but let's move into spherical, and that was also just 1.5 meters. So if we want, we can increase this. Let's make it ridiculous, like 6 meters, and do that same thing really quick on just the plane. Okay, now I'm just going to move into spherical. And what this does is allow you to move in a much more three-dimensional fashion. Turn on Doppler. So there's a few different types of things that you could do to kind of focus on a specific point, and help kind of bolster the sense of proximity relationship. So I hope that helped answer the question, Subvids. Horror movies leave nothing to the imagination. Yeah, you know what's interesting is that if you take off the visuals, though, there's so much left to the imagination, right? Purple Prose, yeah, I love Elation as well. And having that kind of thing triggered by music and sound is fantastic, right? And we can sometimes be pretty surprised by what actually does it. You want to make sound effects for horror games and movies. Saffron, get started. The Relic is a good example. You don't get to see the monster until late in the film. Yeah, and there's a bunch of them like that too, right? Like Cloverfield, and there's a lot of like, it's very Hitchcockian, right? Like withhold the big thing, work with very little. The strings in Psycho, yeah, yeah. Okay, so there's a great example of detuning and dissonance and even pitch manipulation to achieve that. So let's dig into that here in just a second with just a simple, super simple sound, like maybe just a single string or something, and then build on that. You used to jump every time the surprise scene comes in. That's yeah, yeah. That's why you want to work with horror flicks. And that's why it's so exciting to work with horror and immersive stuff like sci-fi. Sci-fi is great because now, as someone working with sound, like not only were you incredibly liberal in your ideas and thoughts of potential with sounds before, but when you're working with fantasy or sci-fi, the people that are asking you to make these sounds are just begging you to do something even more original, right? Even more unique and more creative. And that's amazing, right? Because if you work in this space, it's why it's one of my favorite places to work, is that horror, sci-fi, and fantasy realm, because you get the entire spectrum of emotions, right? Scary and freaky and gory, all the way up to light and angelic and atmospheric and ethereal, and there's all this magic and technology and um, lore and mysticism and stuff to explore in between. And I just love that because it's rooted in imagination, right? It's all tapping into our our childhood in some ways, and I really like it. I really like it. You once had a job at a haunted house scaring the bananas out of kids. Oh my goodness, Rain. Guy, yeah, actually, it does. It does alter your genes. I learned a lot about that when I was, as we were preparing um, for our kid to arrive. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And they're just like switches. It's like, it's not something that happens gradually. It's like there's just a genetic switch that's flipped. It's very binary, and it's crazy. Uh, Oh yeah, absolutely, Guy. Absolutely. I think that nature dictates what kind of reactions we're having because it's had a millennia to work on this with us, right? I mean, our conditioned responses are called conditioned responses for a reason, and hormones didn't just appear overnight. And yeah, it's all intrinsically tied for sure. Uh, Paul, high school valedictorian, but went to school in Florida, so that. um, yeah. Like a yellow flower in a field of red poppies. Exactly, exactly. So if you find a way to allow the one thing that you want to bring into focus to stand out on its own by affecting everything else, it's fantastic because now you don't have to alter the original integrity or character or aesthetic or whatever it was that drew you to that thing, why you wanted to highlight it. Because as soon as you start making changes to it, all of a sudden that becomes less appealing and it's harder to fit in whatever application you were working on. So absolutely. Um, Modelo time, Ricky. How did I open this up? What's that? Zev, I'm so far out of context here. Uh, Sorry, you're going to have to extrapolate or expand upon your question, Zev. How did I open this up? Heidekin was your nickname. Oh, Rain, you moved around a bunch, huh? People like the can. Nice one, Ricky. A sunny place for shady people. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Well, Rain, let's move on. Just finished playing the game. Control, incredible music plus sound effects for a super creepy, weird game. I'm not familiar with this. What is Control? Oh man, epigenetics. That's what it's called. Thank you, Noel. It takes someone smart walking into the room and shaking us back to reality. That's what it is. If you have a VR headset, try out blind. All you can see are outlines as sound waves bounce off objects. Navigating with echolocation is pretty unsettling. Holy heck. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Hormones. Zev, how did you open the binaural audio thing? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's what you do. You, by default, you've got under the stereo out, you change your balance from balance or stereo pan to binaural pan, and then you just quite literally just you just double click on the pan pod itself, and then it opens up the interface. Then you switch it from spherical to planar right here. Dopplers down below. Diffuse compensation down here. And you can also alter um, these guys down here: vertical offset, tilt to mount, and direction. This stuff is super helpful when scoring stuff. Like it's one thing to create a flyby effect, right? Stack 7 or 8 elements together and warp their pitch and volume and all that kind of stuff all at the same time, smear them all together and get a really nice flyby effect. But it's totally different to just move it from left to right versus in real time while you're watching something on a screen to actually move this around, right? Or set up some kind of other MIDI enabled wearable tech to make it even more organic and fluid. Paul, thank you. Thanks for being here, as always. We will see you Friday. Noel has just shared a link.
Let's start with a study of mice by Randy Jirtle. I understand these are known as agouti mice. Is this something from the high Andes, the agouti mice? What does agouti mean, and why is this study that you did now so often cited as being important for understanding epigenomics?
Well, agouti just means brown.
Ah.
It's not too exciting. So you have two mice. I call these the agouti sisters. So from the hot Dutch study and the Chinese famine studies, you knew that something occurring very early in development, literally in the first trimester of development, ultimately gave rise to increased susceptibilities to diseases, including cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, and a doubling or tripling of the incidence of schizophrenia. So severe lack of nutrition early in development results in all of these disease characteristics 20, 30 years later. The real problem, though, was what is the mechanism by which the glue, the gravity, the molecular mechanism that holds these two disparate time points together. And this is how this study, why this study is so important. So the only difference between the brown mouse and the yellow mouse on this slide is what the mother was exposed to when they were in utero. These are genetically identical mice. The mother on the left, the yellow mouse, that mother was just eating normal mouse chow. The mother on the left was eating mouse chow that was supplemented with things like folic acid, choline, etc. Why those compounds? Because they're the ones that provide the methyl groups that are placed down onto the DNA. All those methyl groups that are needed for programming come in from our diet. So that's why this early time point is so important. So here you have a mouse that is small, lean and clean, doesn't get diabetes, doesn't become obese. The only reason is because what had happened and what that offspring's mother ate very early in development. And what we showed is in this system anyway, that molecular mechanism that relates these two time points together is DNA methylation at a region that's upstream of the agouti mouse. So for the first time, we showed that small changes in nutrition can alter disease susceptibility, not through alterations in the genome, but by alterations in the epigenome. And this is fundamental.
And one can already imagine the potential for, as I believe we're already in some law courts, legal responsibility of mothers.
It's possible. I don't get into the legal aspects.
Oh, yeah. What is the second one?
Hi, I'm Dr. Dana Dolinoy, a postdoctoral research fellow in the laboratory of Randy Jirtle at Duke University. In our laboratory, we study epigenetic gene regulation, or how environmental exposures interact with the epigenome to affect long-term health and disease. So today I'd like to introduce you to two agouti mice. And as you can see, the yellow mouse is quite obese, and she is also prone to diabetes and cancer. But on the other hand, the brown mouse remains slender and lean, and also has a lower risk of developing disease. But what's really amazing about these two mice are that they are genetically identical. They are two identical twin sisters from the same mother. So what makes them look so different? Well, it turns out that there is a second genome called the epigenome. Epigenome literally means in addition to or above the genome. And while the recently completed Human Genome Project identified approximately 25,000 genes, these genes still need instructions for what to do and when to do it and where to do it. And that's where the epigenome comes into play. A useful analogy is to think of the epigenome as the software that directs the genomic hardware of a computer. All of our cells contain the same DNA and genes, but it is the epigenome that decides how these genes are expressed and determines how a cell becomes a heart cell, a liver cell, or even a hair cell. Epigenetics consists of molecular switches and markers, such as DNA methylation, that help control gene regulation, in which a quartet of atoms called a methyl group attaches to DNA and shuts down genes. And as you can see, the red...
You know, it's interesting. When when we were pregnant and expecting, and I was going down the rabbit hole of this kind of stuff, the exposure to certain hormones being output by your partner triggers things within your genetic makeup as well. It's just absolutely fascinating, and it's just like a switch. It's just a switch. Just instantly it gets flipped, and then things are different. It's just crazy. One of the best games you've played in a long time. That's Control that you're talking about, Zev? I gotta check this out. See you later, Paul. How's this pan on mono? What kind of interaction is that? Oh, it's a placement of sound in a specific space. So it's, you know, don't think of stereo and mono in the way that we had to back in the day, the same way that we don't think about decibels the same way that we did back in the day. You can take a sound with a single channel of mono and move it around a person, and that person's going to say, oh yeah, that sound is over there, that sound is over there. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's only ever in the middle. It's just that it means that it's a singular channel of sound rather than a couple channels of sound, right? Right. It's interesting how we have to think about all these things a little bit in looser terms these days, I guess you could say. No, they aren't the most interesting. You'll have to skip around. Maybe not for most streams, but I find this stuff personally very fascinating. I'm always down the rabbit hole. But then again, I'm also someone that would opt to read about the latest discoveries in the quantum fields rather than look at social feeds too. So. Cyberpunk 2077. Dude, Zaris, I'm looking forward to your future project that you were talking about. Ooh, interesting, Noel. I feel you, Rain. I really like the cyberpunk stuff too. Mouse Chow, right? As if everybody just knows what Mouse Chow is, right? All right. This is a beast, Zaris. I'm just looking at the specs that are being tossed around here. Hey, Shimmer Pack is complete. Hey, very nice. Bravo and congratulations. I can't wait to check it all out. That's awesome. We'll get you back in here for another one. Where was I? Let's make something great. You're going to start with something simple. That's right. Okay. Let's just move this off to the side for a sec. We're going to start with maybe just like a single string or something and play with a couple of these super basic elements of audio to trigger certain emotions. And before I do that, I am going to grab a little bit more coffee, hit the bathroom, and I'll be right back. For those of you who have not checked the drive today or in a bit, you can do so while I'm going and doing that. Follow that link, grab some sounds. And the other thing you can do while I'm grabbing coffee and hitting the bathroom is send me some sounds. that you want other people to be playing with during the Halloween month. So I'm going to hit the Be Right Back button, or series of buttons, rather. And we will pick right up where we're leaving off. I'll be right back. I am back. All right, we're going to make something new. It took a minute longer than expected. In a weird headspace all of a sudden. I swear, every single time I turn around, there's more news. 2020 is just gotta end soon. Hug the people you love. All right, let's make a sound. Ricky, your entire garage. Zaris, yeah, man, I think that the voice is one of the greatest instruments that we will ever discover, and I love playing with my voice. Let's do some of that too. Yeah, every day is a new surprise. I wish some of them were better than others. That is for sure. Seeing the calendar change isn't gonna actually put an end to a lot, but at least the number will be different. Okay. Let's let's see here. I think if we're going to do some voice stuff, I'm going to play with a few simple ideas, very short. Then we can layer those with some interesting things. I still want to come back to the idea of playing with just like a simple string or something as well. Nate! Nate! Dude, congratulations. I'm so glad. So glad for you. I got over the waves hump as well during my clean install marathon. And when I got through to the end of it, I realized there was like 2 that I didn't transfer over. And I still haven't gone back and done it. Hallelujah, Noel. Hallelujah. It's great to have you in the room today, Noel. I'm not sure if I've actually said that but out loud, but I've been thinking it. My voice is truly horrifying. Every time I record it, I am disgusted. Then that means you have a very valuable voice. You should record it more often and make more things out of it. That's funny. All right, let's record some stuff. We will need an audio track. And I should probably set my microphone in here. Check. Moi. 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 Check, check, check. That's weird. I wonder how long the mic wasn't popping off for. I don't have timestamps turned on in the chat. Sorry, you guys. I was basically just talking through the idea of adding saturation to effect tails instead of directly to the sound and what that does for you. Just to sum it up, just adding texture in the atmospheric tails of whatever sound you're putting out there will often be a bit more spine tingling and chill enticing or inciting than others, than just directly on a sound. Yeah, sorry I was muted there, guys. You were able to hear the rest of the sounds, though, right? Like if I'm coming back in here, you guys can hear this, right? Yeah, you can hear this. Okay. That's what happens. Just not staring at the chat. Check a stone at his window. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Rain. Absolutely. That'd be a nice treat for people coming knocking on your door. Oh man, so sorry you guys were without my mic for like 10 minutes. You just watch me flap my lips over here. Prunes and prune products. Sorry about that, Zaris. All right, so there's one little thing with the breath. Let's do this again. Let's grab another bit. Whoa. Whoa. Maybe we should take a let's take a single breath and play around with splitting audio a bit more. We'll stagger these a bit in our arrangement here. All right, so for something like this, let's maybe do a pitch shift on this one. That's a little bit better. Actually, you know, this gives me a little flashback to something that I used to do a fair bit before all these fancy plugins came out with multi-band processing capabilities. Guys like me would take this sound and send it out to, let's say, 1, 2, 3 different sends. Click on the first one here. This is bus 10. We'll put a multi-pressor on here. So this is a multi-band compressor. And what we'll do, we'll just work with like 3 bands here. And let's put this one, say, here, and put this one, say, here. And we will solo this one. And I'm just going to open up my mixer here. I'm going to put this one here and this one here. So we're copying over the same exact settings. Gonna solo the mid on this one and the high on this one. You guys probably see where this is going. So now what we're going to do is just solo one of these sends at a time. And this is just the low frequencies. Some of this will be a little bit harder to hear, just because of the frequencies at play. So this one is pretty low. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's put something big on it. Let's put guitar rig on here, just because I want something kind of nasty down low. There we go. Zaras, take care, man. Thank you for hanging out with us. All right, so we'll call that good on that low. Let's go over to the mid. This is quite literally what we would have to do. Shake things up a bit. Let's do a tremolo on this. Let's do a somewhat rounded. Let's do like maybe... Okay, that's kind of creepy. And now let's do just on this one, let's just do like some kind of long... How about we use our comet again? And this time, we'll just put this way up. And this is just the upper frequencies. This is like 2K up or something, if I remember correctly. All right, so if we were to play back our sound now, and we ignore the original output, let's see what our sound sounds like. That's one sound, that's just the breath, but since it's being processed 3 different ways, it kind of translates as 3 different sounds. Now, if we leave that lower element in the center and we pan these out to the left and right, it'll even it'll accentuate that separation even more. And then on this one, we could even take it down. Right, there's just so many things that you can do with a very, very simple sound. It's entirely, like the only thing that could possibly limit you is your own creativity and imagination. You could continue to do this and split this out into individual bands. You could also, if you wanted to, you could put the output of each one of these into yet another bus. We'll put all of these into 13 and start getting into some mad science here. So this will be our split out here. This is our low, mid, high. So on this split out, we can then go and put something really creative in there to help it all come together. And a little bit more output love. Delaying something that has a big reverb on it. Let's just see. Yeah, and then you just never know where an element like this could fit in. But this right here is absolutely fitting for like a horror ambience type of thing. This is like a haunted impact of some kind. So bring down that tail just a little bit and emphasize the initial low element down here. Feel a bit more like an impact. There we go. So now we'll just take down our highs, perhaps. Yeah, just changing the volume mix on that changes it quite a bit. Who was it that said use voice? Was it Zaris? I think Nate wanted to hear us do something with the that little trill kind of thing. See what we can do with that. I know he's out, but let's grab it and bring it down here. It's this one. All right. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with this? Holy heck. Well, let's run it through a couple of pitch shifts here. This is always a fun thing to play around with. And then maybe a little ensemble. This is another good candidate for a multi-band because you could really add quite a bit of growl in different ways. So instead of doing the old multiple output thing that I was just showing off for fun, we'll just do a new school thing and use a multi-band plugin instead. And let's do some variation. Feedback. Oh, that reminds me. Which one did I have? G-Rig on. There we go. That's this one. All right, let's do, I was going to do a little distortion on this one too, but a weird one. Let's bring our drive way down on this. I think Mulholland's a little too extreme. Let's see here. Now you guys have me jumping back over to the chat, like wondering if I'm still coming through constantly. Yeah, we'll definitely be playing with the pitch bends here. You know what it is? I need a formant. Let's see here. Toss this into a space. It's a lot of stuff. Let's go straight on this one. Let's add a little drone underneath it if we can find one that works. That doesn't really. Let's try another one. better. Oh, it just slipped right through that little band, didn't it? We don't want to attenuate at all, but it's a bit much. Oh, some interesting, like kind of unexpected stuff popping up out of this one. Where's this one? This is 408-ish. It's that kind of thing where after you stack so many things together, it's always interesting to me to move all of your plugins over to a parallel channel, and then start going through them, like one, two at a time. Another thing you could do when you're playing with vocal type stuff that tends to work pretty well upon entry and exit of the sound, right? Your intro, outro points. You can put a little fade curve on it and then switch that to a pitch bend through speed up. I prefer doing it all manually. This has turned into like some kind of like space thing. It's got a space kind of appeal, weirdness. Sign out. Welcome. Send those on through. Holler at OhmLab.tv. I will get them added to the community drive so other people can play with them if that's what you'd like to do with them. And also, I will just put up the sounds command here so you guys can see the link to go grab sounds and see how much they've grown. Since you last checked, I think we're up to, how many people are we up to in here now? My goodness. We've got OhmLab, Paul, Purple Pro, Saffronworks, Subfizz, Transnupant, Zaris, Zev. We've got a handful. We've got 8 different people contributing so far and a smattering of samples across the board. This morning at the beginning of the stream, I went through and bounced stems out of each of the larger pieces that we made just the other day. And I'll toss these up as well, these last few that we've done, plus whatever else we make here in the time that we have today. And let me just check and see how much time I do have today. I have a session coming up in a bit with Saffron. Works today, actually. Speak of the devil. Hope you're ready, Saf. So I will have to bounce somewhat soon, but I'd like to maybe just play around with the idea. Another thing. We've also got another one coming in from Zaris. It looks like he may have actually sent this a bit ago. When was this? Oh, it was within the hour, so it wasn't that long. This one's called The Ring. So we'll get that checked out. And we'll get that added to the drive as well. This is The Ring. This is what Zaras just sent through. I will add it to the drive right now while we're listening to it. And again, apologies if we drop any frames while we're uploading these files to the drive. Oh, not sure why it stopped there. That was weird. Nice prompt. How you doing today, Sign? Just a reminder to everyone, the video archives, the ability to watch these streams anytime you like, is now restricted to subscribers only. We let you have a month of freebies. And now that we're going to start getting into some serious sample swapping and file creation together as a community, I want to make sure that we have a tight-knit family that we're working with, if you will. Keep the trolls out. Keep the serious folks in. We're going to create an army of audio ninjas here. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry, Sign. It's probably those uploads running. We're dropping today. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got that up on the drive now, and you can grab that. I'm pretty sure I've got all those others added now. So I think we're up to date. Again, those links are there up in the chat for you guys to grab sounds and send sounds. Zev, thank you. Hope you're productive and inspired. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow. I've got a session tomorrow. Speaking of, if anybody's looking for sessions, hit me up. We're about a week out scheduling right now, but there is some availability. Just got to work within tiny little pockets of time, but it's worth it. You forgot it was Wednesday. Yeah. Tomorrow's the day, I think. This is happening in my cells at this moment. Is this the video that you were watching that I was just scoring, unbeknownst to me? DNA replication. Right here. Our bodies are busy. Busy little chem labs. Some interesting sound design on this one, huh? Real-time speed. Yeah, the sound design for this stuff is awesome. That's so funny. Good find. Actual speed. That's just nuts. That's just nuts to me. All right, so we were going to take a look at a quick little like single string kind of element or something. We just got a little sidetracked. So let's do that. Let's do software instrument. Let's play with something we don't normally play with. About sculpture. Little modeling synth. Which reminds me, we've got to take a look at Sakura. Sakura from ImageLine. I was going to do a review of it a week or two ago, and when I got the download from them, it was incompatible. So I think they've released an update for that and cleared up that compatibility issue. And we'll have to take a look at it because I love me some physical modeling. Okay. Oh, now this is pretty hilarious. I have just discovered that my child has reprogrammed my MIDI keyboard. That's hilarious. Oh boy. How in the world does he figure this stuff out? That's amazing. Oh, there was something. What is going on here? Okay. I'm sorry about the volume spike there, guys. I had no idea that my kid had reprogrammed anything. It took me a minute to figure out exactly what he had even touched. All right, so let's make a simple little string, and then we're just going to talk a little bit about pitch and detune. Maybe we can even just start from something very, very simple here. Let's see. Start off with just a couple of notes. Interesting that that's not. That's a little bit. You know what? Just so I don't have to fight with this thing, I'm going to put a different thing on here altogether. Let's do a. Let's just do a simple serum. And we'll pluck this. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll just make kind of like an arbitrary bend here to start with. I'm going to add a reverb to this. I'm going to add a fair amount of that. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of juxtapose a couple of different pitch changes. One is being introduced by the by the pitch parameter on the oscillator, and the other one is being introduced by a modulation of the reverb size over time. All right, now let's actually make this a bounce these really quick. what you do with sounds like this, obviously, can be vary greatly. These are fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is just chop these. Oh, I guess we don't really need to for this example. We could just put this into a big space really quick. You guys will get the idea. So I'm going to have to kind of rush through this last one here. It's not quite there. That's a little bit closer. Now, when you put elements like this is kind of like the same type of stinger kind of effect as like the Brahm that we were talking about in the last stream with Zaris, right? Where you stack up a few sounds, usually with some horns, toss them into contact, and wah, get the Chris Nolan kind of thing going on. But you can do these with just about anything, right? This was just the sawtooth, like the default sawtooth inside of Serum. But if you spent the time to kind of rough this up a bit, use a unique waveform in there, you can come up with something really, really nice. And of course, depending upon if you want to do this before or after, but let's just do it all before. We're going to bounce this again. And now this time, we'll stretch them. All right, so we're just going to stretch these with a speed algorithm, and let's just do just a small amount, just like a couple bars at first. All right, let's do it another bar. You guys starting to hear that kind of iconic sound there? You hear this every once in a while in a really well-made film with an emphasis on sound design. Anyway, this is kind of how you can make those things. They're kind of like the inverse of a Brahm, right? I've always loved this effect. Yeah, I really like this. I'm going to catch up with you guys in chat, and then I should probably bounce. Got to get a couple things taken care of, and then I got a session after that. So, motor protein animations. To work on the bridges. Subvids, you just sent something through. Excellent. I will take care of that before I boogie. You got a couple. Oh, excellent. Dog bowl. Excellent. And that one is done. And the second one. Oh, that's just you saying it was you. All right, let me jump over to the drive. Thank you for sending those through, Subvids. We're going to add this to your folder in there. We'll see what this sounds like. Oh, wow. It's a bunch. I wasn't expecting. That's great. Oh, these are great. Okay, so we're putting up this whole folder. These are freshly recorded sounds from Subvids. Halloween Dog Bowl. Those will all be synced up in the drive for you guys to grab here in just a sec. If I ever went to college for a real job, I think it would be to attempt to make a new microscope because we are so close to a world we can't see. Yeah, that's true. Screw space, let's look inward, right? Perhaps DMT and other hallucinations are a way of hacking into the security cameras of that inner universe. Sorry, you and Noel got me going. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm always halfway down that rabbit hole at all times. And yeah, I have similar thoughts and questions and considerations. One last chance. I'll put this up in the chat. You guys can hit that link and start downloading sounds. I'm going to put the email back up one more time, holler@ohmlab.tv, for those of you who want to be sending in sounds between streams, etc. Don't forget, hit the sub button when you can. Keep you in contact with all of us, but more importantly, you can catch up with missed bits of the stream and gain access to lots and lots of sounds moving forward. So yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and being here yet again. I will get these sounds, these last half dozen sounds or whatever that we've made in the last hour, up on the drive as well. And anything else that comes in between now and Friday, I'll toss up into the drive before I hit the go live button. Anybody wanting to book sessions, give me a shout, shoot me an email. I will try my best to follow up with you as quickly as I can. And that's that. Stay tuned for updates on the website. We're going to be adding, I'll be toggling the community page back on the website here shortly. And when I do that, you guys will have another place to sit and talk through things and post questions, swap sounds and whatnot outside of these streams. So again, thank you so much. Guy, you are epic. And thank you for being here for the stream. And I will see you guys on the flip, I'm sure. Again, I really appreciate the support. And I'll leave you with a little bit of music and time to click on those links in the chat. Thanks again, everybody. I really do appreciate you. Toodles.